don't like reading speeches, never have, but my chief of staff did put some stuff down here in writing just to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm going to be reading a little bit, and then we're going to open up for questions. I've been on the ground less than 3 full days. I got in here Monday. President of the United States called me Monday morning and asked me to deploy here. Got here Monday evening, and I'm staying till the problem's gone. But we've made a lot of progress in the last 3 days. Marcos Charles, he's running ICE operations here. There you go. Rodney Scott, Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, standing here beside me. Good morning, I'm Tom Homan, Board Czar for President Trump. I'm here on behalf of the President, along with U.S. Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Rodney Scott, and Marcos Charles, who's leading the enforcement effort here right now. I've been on the ground since Monday to regain law and order in the city beloved by many, and work together to remove threats from the community. During the past administration, we'll all remember, more than 10 million illegal aliens entered this nation. Many were national security threats, public safety threats. We can't remember over 2 million known gotaways. 2 million people who paid more to get away. Why? That just scared the hell out of everybody. President Trump promised American people, including the residents of Minnesota, that he would work to ensure our communities are safe. And with that, this administration is absolutely focused on identifying removal aliens that pose a public safety threat and national security threats. And the numbers prove it. The data proves it. In the past few days, I've met with Governor Walz, Attorney General Ellison, Mayor Frey, numerous police chiefs and sheriffs, and I have more to meet. I'll also be continuing the dialogue with business and religious leaders in partnership with Minnesota, your community leaders. I'll be meeting with them too because I want to hear what they have to say. In my meetings with folks so far, and most importantly the governor and the AG, the Mayor Frey, we didn't agree on everything. I didn't expect to agree on anything. I've heard many people want to know why we're talking to people who they don't consider friends in administration. Bottom line is you can't fix problems if you don't have discussions. I didn't come to Minnesota for photo ops or headlines. You haven't seen me. I came here to seek solutions, and that's what we're going to do. And we've come a long way, and we got some good wins for the people of Minnesota, I think, and for the administration and for the safety and security of this city. One thing we did agree on, though, everybody I talked to agreed on, was that community safety is paramount. One thing we all agreed on was U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement is a legitimate law enforcement agency that has a duty to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and keep this community safe. Like I've said many times for the last several years, even before this administration, jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration authorities are sanctuaries for criminals. Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals and endangers the residents of the community. To be clear, we did not agree with Minnesota state and local officials that they would be involved in immigration enforcement. I didn't ask them to be immigration officers. I'm asking them to be cops working with the cops to help us take criminal aliens off the street. What we did agree upon is not to release public safety arrests back in the community when they could be lawfully transferred to ICE. I'll speak more about that. I will highlight that the Minnesota State Prison System under the Department of Corrections have been honoring ICE detainers. And we appreciate that important collaboration, and we're going to expand upon that. That decision has made Minnesota safer, not only for residents of Minnesota, but the men and women law enforcement. Not just ICE, all law enforcement. Rather than arresting the same public safety threat, significant public safety threat over and over again, they agree to work with us to identify those people and remove them. I'm also pleased to announce I had a very good meeting with Attorney General Ellison, and he has clarified for me that county jails may notify ICE of the release dates of criminal public safety risks so ICE can take custody of them upon the release from the jail. And let me tell you why that's important. I know people are a lot concerned about the manpower has been sent in law enforcement manpower. Look, I've said this many times before. I've said it for the last several years. Give us access to the illegal alien public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail. It's common sense. It's safer for the community, it's safer for the agent, and it's safer for the alien. Because anything can happen on a street arrest. It just makes common sense. And for the people that argue, well, we're a welcoming community because we want victims and witnesses of crime that are here illegally to feel safe to come to police without fear they're working with ICE, we're not going to talk to the victim and witness of crime. There's no problem there. They should feel safe to come to the police and ask for help. All we want is to talk to the person that local and state law enforcement authorities locked in a jail cell. They chose to lock this person up. That's who we want to talk to, the public safety threat. So that argument is that protects victim witnesses of crime. It's a bunch of crap. Victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy back in their neighborhood either. So great progress with the Attorney General and local sheriffs. And one thing, when we have these agreements, it takes less law enforcement agents to do the job. One agent can arrest one bad guy in the safety and security of a jail where he's behind the wire, we know we don't have weapons. But when you normally release that public safety threat, illegal alien back in the community, we have a job to do. We're going to arrest him. So we're going to find him. And what happens is now we got to arrest somebody on his turf. We have access to who knows what weapons. Now we got to send the whole team out. Cover the back door, cover the front door, officer safety reasons. Then because of the hateful rhetoric and the attacks on ICE officers, now we got to send a security team behind the arrest team. So what could have been done with one person in a safety and security jail, now we got 15, 16 people out there doing it. I know that causes stress in the community. So if we get these agreements in place, that means less agents on the street. More agents in the jail means less agents in the street. This is common sense cooperation that allows us to draw down on the number of people we have here. Yes, I said it. Draw down the number of people here. Because we have the efficiency and safety of the jails and the prison. Matter of fact, I have staff from CBP and from ICE working on a draw-down plan. What does that look like based on the cooperation? What does that look like based on how many targets we have left to find? In my meetings with Governor Walz, A.G. Ellison, and Mayor Fry, as well as state and local law enforcement, again, I appreciate they all acknowledge that we do have federal immigration laws in this country that have been passed by Congress, and that ICE is in fact a legitimate law enforcement agency charged with enforcing those laws. We're not making this up, folks. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress. They're a federal statute. That said, I'm not here because the federal government has carried its mission out perfectly. First thing I said to senior staff when I walked in here is what I told you earlier. I didn't come here looking for photo ops or headlines. I come here looking for solutions. I do not want to hear that everything that's been done here has been perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. Anything can be improved on. And what we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book. The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally. No agency or organization is perfect. President Trump and I, along with others in the administration, have recognized that certain improvements could and should be made. That's exactly what I'm doing here. As such, in meetings I've had with federal law enforcement managers, including ICE and CBP and other federal partners, as well as state and local officials, I have conveyed the President's expectations with regard to federal immigration enforcement efforts. We will conduct targeted enforcement operations. Targeted. What we've done for decades. When we hit the streets, we know exactly who we're looking for. Good idea where we may find them. You have a criminal history. You have their immigration history. A lot of information about this person that we get from numerous databases out there. Targeted, strategic enforcement operations. That's traditionally been the case, and that's where we're going. That's what we're going to continue to do and improve upon that. With a prioritization on public safety threats. I want to be clear. I don't read a lot of social media. I don't read a lot of media. I don't believe half what I see. We are not surrendering the President's mission on immigration enforcement. Let's make that clear. Prioritization of criminal aliens doesn't mean that we forget about everybody else. That's just simply ridiculous. But when you have a criminal standing here and a non-criminal standing there, that criminal always should be targeted first because he's a significant concern to the safety and security of the community. By and large, for decades, ICE and CBP have carried out their duties with integrity, professionalism, and compassion. That remains the expectation under President Trump, and I will, hold our agents and officers to that standard. I'm almost done, then Tom can be Tom. As far as the agitators, that said, I want to reiterate and make very clear. I want to make it clear, ICE and CBP officers are performing their duties in a challenging environment under tremendous circumstances, but they're trying to do it with professionalism. If they don't, they'll be dealt with. Like any other federal agency, we have standards of conduct. They are sworn law enforcement officers working tirelessly to enforce our country's border security and immigration laws, protecting the interests of our country and preventing dangerous people from walking the streets of this nation when they're not supposed to be here to begin with. Men and women of ICE, I was a Border Patrol agent. I was an ICE agent. I was the first ICE director that came up through the ranks. I spent over 40 years doing this. These men and women that carry that badge and gun are American patriots. They put themselves on the line for this nation every day. But I want you to remember, they don't hang their badge, they don't hang their heart on a hook every day they come to work. They're mothers and fathers too. They're sons and daughters too. And if they've seen a fraction of the tragedies I've seen in my career, they take a lot of damage home to every day. The things they've seen, especially on the border with Border Patrol agents. People drowning in the river. Women being raped by criminal cartels. Giving CPR to a baby that was thrown in the river by the cartels because Border Patrol came too close. So let's throw the baby in the river. That way the Border Patrol was concentrating on that so I can get away. These men and women see some terrible things. But I want you to remember, they're mothers and fathers too. Many of them are members of this community. God bless every one of them. The hostile rhetoric and dangerous threats and hate must stop. And we all agreed to that. All everybody met here today, we got to stop the rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric that has caused an increase in assaults. That has caused, because of that, having to send security teams out with arrest teams, which surge the city with additional resources because of the rhetoric, because of the threats, because of the assaults. Again, with the agreements we've achieved and following through the agreements with the rhetoric dropping down, that allows us to pull more agents out once we feel the environment's safer. I begged for the last 2 months on TV for the rhetoric to stop. I said in March, if the rhetoric didn't stop, there's going to be bloodshed. And there has been. I wish I wasn't right. I don't want to see anybody die. Not officers, not members of the community, and not the targets of our operations.
Now we just heard from Mr. Tom Homan, the U.S. border Czar, speaking from the city of Minneapolis. And for this, we are now joined by Mr. Andrew Latham. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Minneapolis. Thank you very much, Mr. Latham, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, as you know, Mr. Homan was saying that in 3 days he has already seen improvement. What do you think was he suggesting to, and what can we expect from this new U.S. border person taking place?
Well, there has been a shift, and it's been the result of a shift in the balance of power within the Trump administration. Kristi Noem favored very much an indiscriminate, very high-profile sweep and capture form of policing and immigration enforcement. And Tom Homan has had a much more discriminate focus. He wants to go after people with criminal records and not just do the sweeps in neighborhoods. And his vision has prevailed ultimately, I think largely because President Trump understands that his approval ratings around this set of issues are tanking. He's not doing very well in public opinion, and that's caused him to tap Homan to implement his strategy as opposed to Noem and her obviously failed strategy. So we're likely to see lower profile policing, less high risk policing. The rhetoric on both sides maybe will ramp down a little bit, but the enforcement effort overall won't end. It will just look a little less aggressive and a little less, to many of us, offensive.
Right. And what do you think, what changes can we expect in the coming weeks or days?
Well, as I kind of indicated there'll be more cooperation between federal and state and local law enforcement agencies. The targets will not be children in elementary schools and people going to work. It'll be focused on people who have who are undocumented but also have criminal records, perhaps that are being held in local city, county jails, etc. So it's likely to be less high profile and therefore and more targeted at the kind of population that President Trump has always said he's been interested in going after, but that's not how it has translated in practice over the last month or so. So more targeted, lower profile, more discriminate, more cooperation between federal and local and state officials, and with any luck, a real meaningful decrease in the political temperature around this issue.
Thank you for highlighting that. And also, I'll be paraphrasing, but Mr. Homan did indicate that he emphasized that solutions need discussions with people you disagree with. So do you think that he was suggesting to him discussing all these issues with Minnesota's governments who might be from different, government parties?
Yeah, well, there's already been a movement. The president reached out to the governor of the state, Governor Walz, and the mayor of Minneapolis as well, and there have been positive and reconciliatory signals sent in both directions. So I think already we're seeing a dialing back of the level of rhetoric between the 2 or 3 levels of government, the federal government, the state government, and the city government. So that suggests that that will have a trickle-down effect. There'll be more collaboration and cooperation amongst law enforcement agencies at all 3 levels as well. And if that translates into a lower level of rhetoric in the public sphere, then I think this issue will not go away because many people simply oppose the enforcement, whatever form it takes. But this more high-profile and offensive kind of enforcement, that's likely to recede into the background, shall we say.
Right. And how is atmosphere like in Minnesota now? Are people a little, I don't know, relaxed, or are they happy with this change?
My sense is that a lot of people are in wait-and-see mode. Actions always speak louder than words. There have been a lot of words spoken, and I think people are waiting to see if there's follow-through on the ground, if in fact the collaboration amongst the various law enforcement agencies actually materializes, if there's a lot less of this sweep and detain kind of approach and a more targeted approach. If that actually happens, then I think the temperature will be reduced. If this is all talk and nothing changes in the streets, then I think the resistance to this immigration enforcement strategy is not likely to abate at all.
Right. Are there any more protests taking place, or now that we know protests did spread even to other states and also to other countries, what's that now?
Well, there has been talk of some action tomorrow. There was last Friday, and then tomorrow. I'm not sure it has the same traction politically as last Friday's. I think this issue is not going away, but it's perhaps not on the front page, the sort of headlines as it was over the last couple of weeks. But again, I think people are in wait-and-see mode, and if the feds don't deliver on this, it is going to be front page and headline news again next week.
Thank you very much. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Andrew Latham for joining us today and sharing that insight from Minneapolis. Now we move on to Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin has met with UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to discuss the ongoing tensions in Iran. President Putin has emphasized that Russia is closely monitoring the situation in Iran, and it hopes to engage in talks with the UAE to address these growing concerns. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has added that the possibility for talks between the US and Iran has not been exhausted, while also warning that military action could lead to chaos in the region. Meanwhile, President Mohammed bin Zayed has expressed the UAE's desire to strengthen its ties with Russia. The UAE, which has not joined any Western sanctions against Moscow, continues to advocate for a peaceful resolution to the Ukraine's conflict. More notably, the UAE remains neutral on this issue. Additionally, President Putin has thanked the UAE for its efforts in securing the release of prisoners of war from Ukraine. This diplomatic exchange comes as senior Israeli and Saudi officials meet in Washington to discuss the potential for U.S. military strikes in Iran. Now for this, we welcome Ms. Nilofer Ara. She is an Iranian women and LGBTQ+ rights activist, joins us live from Turkey. Thank you very much, Ms. Ara, for joining us. Good to see you. Now, thank you. Now, looking at this, how is this situation escalating? Even though U.S. has also said that we are open to diplomatic talks, are they actually? What do you think? And also the fact that Iran has now Iran has talked to UAE, also Saudi Arabia. What's the situation like in your analysis?
I mean, as far as I know, and as far as my opinion goes on this, it sounds to me like when a country like Iran in the Middle East happens in this kind of situations and they get really unstable, maybe the countries around, they start to talk to each other and have conversations about their situations, and maybe this is all a strategy because like Russia or UAE don't want to be all alone with the things that are going right now in Iran, the revolution, because as far as we know, everything is getting more unstable every day and every day and every day. So this is just a strategy, and I don't think that's an important issue to talk. I think that they are just talk about their own beneficial matters, not about Iran or not about anything peaceful in here. Because if they wanted to help the people of Iran, they would have done it earlier. So I just don't see anything relevant to the people of Iran or to Iran. They are just protecting their own beneficial matters between themselves. And this is just a strategy that the countries use when these kind of things happens, especially in the Middle East.
Right. Can you tell us what's the situation like in Iran, if you have any updates from there?
Yes, actually, my friends are telling me that the numbers that they are saying on the media is not correct. They say that they have been killed over 50,000 people, and they have blinded over 10,000 people, and they are not willing to give the women's bodies to their families, especially women's body. Because Iran has this popular thing in their regime that they might have raped these women before killing them. So they are not willing to give their bodies to their families, and if they want their bodies, they should pay them off, and something like this. And it is not going well. Everyone is frightened. Everyone do not have any mental stability anymore. Everyone are like, okay, we are begging Israel or Netanyahu or Trump to attack Iran, so we could get rid of Khamenei, so we can get rid of the Islamic regime, because they are truly terrorists, and we really don't want them there.
Well, thank you for sharing that such important information with us, Ms. Niloufar. Please stay with us as we stay on this topic now. Now, staying in Iran, Iran's army has added 1,000 new drones to its combat regiments as tensions rise with the United States. The move comes as Iran's army chief Amir Hatami vowed a crushing response to any potential attack. Hatami has emphasized that enhancing Iran's strategic capabilities for rapid combat remains a top priority. The U.S. recently moved a naval strike force into the region, heightening concerns. In response, Iran says it is ready to defend itself if necessary. Meanwhile, Turkey is stepping up its diplomatic efforts, with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi scheduled to visit Ankara. Turkey has offered to mediate between Tehran and Washington to ease tensions, while also considering extra security measures along its border with Iran in case the conflict escalates. Now we welcome back Ms. Niloufar Ara. She's joining us from Turkey. Now, as you were skeptical about other countries trying to mediate or offering to mediate between Iran and U.S., what's your take on Turkey's role? And also, how do you analyze the capacity of Iranian government if there were to be attacks? Do you think they are capable to fight back?
Okay, I will answer your second question first.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Iranian regime, especially Iraqi or the military, has this habit of lying and giving you a propaganda about their military capabilities, because they are like this. They have been like this for 47 years. They just want to brag about it, and they just want to show themselves bigger than they are. They just want to exaggerate everything. And when anyone wants to talk to them, they just threaten them. So this is just a threatening game. I mean, if you ask me, I think they are just manipulative again, and they are not capable of doing such a thing, and they are not going to do such a thing.
Right.
But the answer to your first question, I'm in Turkey right now. I don't know too much about the politicians in Turkey, but I hope they can help our country, because currently the most thing that matters to me is my people, and I hope they can help my people, because they're all my families over there.
Right. We hope that they are staying safe, but thank you very much for joining us, Ms. Ara, and sharing that insight with us on NewsX World. Now we move to Asia. China has agreed to relax its visa rules for British citizens during a visit by Prime Minister Keir Starmer to Beijing. Starting today, British nationals will be able to travel to China without a visa for stays of up to 30 days. Starmer has hailed this move as a win for British businesses, saying it will make it easier for them to expand in the Chinese market, which is expected to boost jobs back home. This announcement is part of a broader partnership deal between the UK and China aimed at growing economic ties. The two countries also agreed to launch a feasibility study, which could lead to a bilateral services agreement. This deal would focus on sectors such as healthcare, finance, legal services, and education. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Andrew K.P. Long. He's a China strategist, joins us live from Hong Kong. Thank you very much, Mr. Long, for joining us. Good to see you. Now looking at this, how significant is this change in the visa policy, and how will China and the UK both benefit from this?
Of course, this is the UK government's attempt to recalibrate relationship with China after the frozen, mutually suspicious, hostile period. This is caused by, of course, by the broken relationship between the United Kingdom's largest partner and strongest partner, the United States, because the President Trump's attitude towards allies is problematic, to say the least, imposing tariffs and also belittling the various allies, including the United Kingdom, and hence like many other European countries, including and also Canada, they're all recalibrating the relationship with China and indeed other countries in the Global South. For example, in the European Union has just recently signed and mother of all free trade agreement with India. But then the United Kingdom is now holding the olive branch after such a long period of cold relationship. And the easing of visas is, of course, a very important part of the dynamic, because a lot of the mistrust is caused by great misunderstanding what China is all about. A lot of the suspicion is caused by the kind of rhetoric that somehow China is an evil empire, and then a great deal of suppression of the people and so on. So China, in recent year, throughout the last year, has opened up the country and giving visa-free access to as many as 77 countries worldwide, including many European countries, except the United Kingdom until now. So this easing of visa requirements is China's tactic to enable the British people to see for themselves what sort of country China is all about. I mean, there are lots of investment opportunities and lots of attractions that can broker a more positive relationship between the two nations.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Long, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on to Thailand, Thailand's foreign minister has said that Myanmar's junta-run election does not meet the expectations of many Southeast Asian neighbors, but he hopes the polls could still lead to positive changes. Myanmar's pro-military party declared victory in Monday's election, which rights groups have widely labeled as a sham. The polls come amidst continued international pressure on Myanmar's military government. Let's listen in.
We have to recognize the reality that they've had election. And of course, for many of us, it doesn't meet our expectation. But at the same time, if we look at, towards the past, when they had this transition to democracy, it was an imperfect election organized by another general, General Thein Sein. So, we are hoping that this election could lead to more positive changes. It could.
Now we welcome back Mr. Andrew Long. He's joining us live from Hong Kong. Now, where exactly does Thailand stay? What do you think? Thailand, as Thailand's foreign minister has said, this election did not meet the expectations, but then he wishes them that it could lead to a positive change.
Well, let's face it, both Thailand and Myanmar have elections. But the reality remains that the military in both countries really have a dominant position amongst the electorate. And both countries have been ruled by the military camp for a long, long time. And some people say that it's a khaki, Khali, meaning military uniform, khaki capitalism, which characterizes the politics of both countries. And of course, both countries share a very wide border, 2,400 kilometers, and border security is a major issue for both countries because there are lots of militias operating in the border, particularly posing a threat to the security in Thailand. Also, as far as Thailand is concerned, there has in recent years been an influx of refugees from Myanmar. For example, the Rohingya kind of minorities. So this kind of the flood of refugees is a serious problem for Thailand. So the hope is that with the elections, the situation will be kept more under control. Last but not least, Thailand, of course, depends on Myanmar for the supply of natural gas, as well as supply of the migrant laborers. As many as 3.5 million Myanmar migrant laborers are working on Thailand. So I think the flow of the labor force is also important for Thailand's economy. And then, of course, in recent months, a lot of scam operations are operating on the Myanmar, and recently been cracked down. Thousands of people have been arrested, and most of them are connected with some gangs in China. They've been repatriated for prosecution and sentencing in China. So it affects the Thailand Myanmar border. In fact, Thailand's tourism has been impacted by this scandal. Last of all, of course, both Thailand and Myanmar are key members of the ASEAN nations. So the stability and relationship between these two key countries are important to the ASEAN Association for peace and stability in the region.
Indeed. Thank you for highlighting that, Mr. Long, and sharing that with us on NewsX World. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.